If you're new here to The Last Stand, check out the playlist on my YouTube channel for the previous episodes. As the thrusters of Davidson's 302 rumbled, he gritted his teeth, gripping the controls tightly. His eyes darted between the HUD displaying the flight path back to the command center and his comm unit, blaring updates about the battle taking place above Earth's atmosphere. Through his radio, he could hear the frantic commands and adrenaline-driven responses of his squadron, the sound of their unity like a drumbeat amidst the cacophony of battle.
Echo 5, pull up! You've got 4 bogeys on your tail!
Came a shout. Davidson's heart clenched as the realization hit him. Another one of his squad, pursued by a quartet of alien fighters. An unbearable moment of silence passed before a static-filled voice came through, cut short by an ear-splitting explosion that shook the radio frequencies.
Echo 5 is down, repeat, Echo 5 is down.
The words hung heavy in the cockpit, reverberating in the silence that followed. It was the second 302 they had lost. An incandescent anger flared within Davidson, but he forced it down, focusing on the task at hand. The best way he could honor his fallen team members was to complete his mission and end this. Ortega, this is Echo 1, ETA 2 minutes. We'll be coming in hot. Prepare Shuttle Bay 1 for quick drop-off.
Acknowledged, Echo 1. Shuttle Bay 1 will be ready,
came Ortega's response. Even through the static of the radio, her voice echoed a shared determination. They were all too aware of what was at stake. The sight of the orbital command center was a mix of awe and despair as Davidson neared his destination. Its metallic hull was scarred and charred, bearing the marks of the relentless alien assault. Yet amidst the chaos, the station stood defiant, a testament to human resilience and defiance. The large bay doors of Shuttle Bay 1 began to slide open, their groaning mechanical sound a welcome signal of his successful journey. As Davidson carefully maneuvered his 302 into the bay, the doors slid shut behind him, sealing off the madness outside. The inside of the bay was a flurry of activity. Red emergency lights cast eerie shadows over the crew members rushing around. As Davidson powered down the 302, the cockpit's hatch opened with a hiss of releasing pressure, revealing Liam and Ren. They jumped down, their eyes wide as they took in the scene, visibly taken aback by the sudden shift from the calm observatory to the center of the battle for Earth. They were no longer observers. They were part of the fight. A familiar face appeared in the crowd of rushing personnel. Ortega, her face stern but her eyes betraying a glimmer of relief at seeing them. "Follow me," she said tersely, turning on her heels and walking briskly away from the shuttle bay, Liam and Ren falling in step behind her. As the trio disappeared into the bowels of the station, Davidson strapped himself back into the cockpit. He could feel the urgency in the air, the subtle shift in the command center's atmosphere. They were in the eye of the storm, and the worst was yet to come. Even in the chaos of the orbital command center, a seasoned commander like Ortega never lost her bearings. She quickly led Liam and Ren through its bustling corridors, filled with the energy of 1,000 frantic operations. The battle against the alien ships was not just happening in the expanse of space. It was happening here, inside these metallic walls, where every individual was a vital cog in the machine. They finally arrived at a room that seemed to be in utter disarray. It was a tech room filled to the brim with electronic devices, spare parts, and an ungodly amount of tools scattered everywhere. Amid the pandemonium, Ortega gestured around and stated matter-of-factly, "This is where we'll integrate your artifact." Without hesitation, Liam and Ren got to work. Ren began clearing a space amid the electronic debris, while Liam's eyes darted around, scanning for the components he needed. Despite the sheer magnitude of their task, they worked with calm efficiency, knowing that the fate of humanity was, quite literally, in their hands. As Liam and Ren worked in the tech room, Ortega had returned to the bridge. From there, she could get an immediate overview of the situation, the holographic tactical display providing her with a visual map of the battle in space. Her eyes scanned the swarm of red blips representing the alien forces, a stark contrast to the blue blip of their station. The tension thickened as Davidson's voice sounded over the comms.
Echo 1 back in the fight. Ortega, I need coordinates.
Ortega, with a new sense of urgency, gave Davidson a cluster of enemy ships to target. He acknowledged and zoomed away with Echo 2 at his wing, disappearing into the raging battle outside. Meanwhile, on the orbital command station, things were rapidly deteriorating. Alien ships swarmed the station like angry hornets, their attacks causing the station to shudder violently. With each hit, a ripple of trepidation ran through the crew. Even as the chaos ensued outside, Liam was making steady progress inside the tech room. His laptop showed the complex algorithm he had written, a mess of numbers and symbols that only he could understand. The lines of codes were loading, and the artifact was almost ready to be integrated with the station's transmission system. Ortega, on the bridge, watched as the swarm of red blips grew on the tactical display. The station was taking a beating, and the 302s were fighting with all they had. But it was a relentless battle, and they were running out of time. In a desperate attempt to stall the aliens, she ordered another wave of defensive measures from the satellite defense system, praying it would buy them more time. But as another alarm blared, indicating the loss of another 302, Ortega clenched her fists, her frustration mounting. Her attention shifted back to the tech room as she remembered the crucial task at hand. She opened the intercom, her voice ringing through the chaos. "Liam, we need that artifact online now!" And so, with each second that passed, the pressure mounted. As Liam hurried to set up the artifact, Davidson flew back into the fight, and Ortega did her best to hold the line against the alien invasion. The clock was ticking, and every second brought them closer to their last stand. An eerie silence blanketed the bridge as a massive ship emerged behind the alien armada. It was like nothing they had seen before. A cold shiver went down Ortega's spine as she witnessed the colossal structure opening up, revealing a massive photon cannon. The station's sensors immediately picked up a rapid power buildup within the alien mothership.
What is that?
Davidson's voice crackled over the comms, his disbelief evident in his tone. "A problem," Ortega responded grimly, her eyes fixed on the holographic display. Back in the tech room, Liam was fervently working to make the final connections, the artifact humming with power in front of him. Ortega's voice echoed around him. "Liam, we need more speed. The mothership is doing something, and it doesn't look good." "I'm almost there," Liam replied, his voice strained. "I just need 2 more minutes." Meanwhile, Davidson, realizing the impending threat of the mothership's cannon, made a split-second decision. He opened his comms.
Echo 2, stay on my 6. We're making a run at the mothership.
His 302 accelerated, slicing through the chaos of the battlefield towards the behemoth ship. His wingman, Echo 2, stayed in close formation, their movements synchronized as they twisted and turned, evading the swarms of alien fighters that lunged at them. Ortega watched in growing concern as Davidson charged towards the mothership, aware of the extreme risks he was taking. But there was no time for second-guessing. Everything hinged on their next moves. As if sensing the danger of the artifact, the alien fighters ramped up their onslaught. Their attacks were relentless, pounding the station without mercy. Alarms blared incessantly around Ortega, each one signifying another hit, another system failing. She winced as the bridge shuddered under another hit. Her gaze snapped to the tactical display, watching as Davidson and Echo 2 closed the distance towards the mothership. It was a desperate race against time, a last-ditch effort to protect their home. On the comms, Davidson's voice was calm yet resolute.
Ortega, if we can't destroy that cannon, I'm using my ship. Get ready.
Ortega's heart clenched at his words. She knew what he was implying. It was a kamikaze run. But she also understood that if that cannon fired, Earth wouldn't stand a chance. In the tech room, Liam's hands flew over the artifact, the final connections snapping into place. His algorithm was almost loaded, ready to broadcast the signal. The artifact hummed, radiating a soft glow that filled the room. Back on the bridge, Ortega watched, heart pounding as Davidson closed in on the mothership. "Come on, Liam," she murmured under her breath. "We need a miracle." And just then, as if on cue, something strange happened. The fierce attack from the alien ships intensified even further. It was as if they could sense the impending activation of the artifact. The station rattled under the force of their onslaught, making Ortega's heart pound with anxiety. She glanced back at the display, watching as Davidson closed in on the mothership. His voice filled her ears.
Ortega, we're in position. Liam, we need that signal now.
With everything hanging by a thread, they were at the precipice of hope and destruction, a moment that would define their fate. In the tech room, Liam's heart pounded in his chest. The hum of the artifact was a constant drone in his ears as he stared at his screen. The algorithm was ready. 30 seconds, he relayed over the comms. Davidson's voice came through loud and clear.
Make it count, kid.
Ortega could only hold her breath as she watched the small blip that represented Davidson's 302 nearing the massive alien mothership. The photon cannon was pulsing with light, the power buildup nearly complete. The bridge of the command center shook violently under the intensified onslaught, making it clear to her that they were running out of time. Meanwhile, Davidson and Echo 2 sped towards the mothership, their path paved with fire as they swept through the alien fighters. The sheer scale of the alien mothership loomed before him, dwarfing his 302 in comparison. As he neared the opening of the photon cannon, the fear was palpable, but so was the determination. The comms channel was open, and every soul on the orbital command center could hear the steady resolve in his voice.
Just as Liam presses the button.
Davidson's words echoed over the comms. His 302 closed in on the alien mothership, the view of the open photon cannon filling his front view screen. Back in the tech room, Liam was keyed up, his finger hovering over the activation button. All the moments leading up to this flashed in his mind. The artifact hummed louder, its energy rippling in the air. "Here goes nothing," he murmured, pressing the button. As soon as he did, an eerie phenomenon took over. Time seemed to elongate, stretching into infinity. The rush of adrenaline slowed, the intensity of the moment amplified in the uncanny stillness. Around him, Ren was caught mid-motion, his eyes wide in astonishment. On the bridge, Ortega felt as if the world had shifted. The alarms blared slower, the warning lights flashed lazily. Her heartbeat seemed to echo in her ears as she turned to see the view screen. Davidson's 302, once rushing towards the mothership, now moved as if through a dense, invisible medium. Davidson felt his senses slow down. His heartbeat, once frenzied, now pounded with a slow, echoing rhythm. The mothership, the open maw of the photon cannon, everything was motionless, as if frozen in a snapshot. Over the comms, his own voice, distorted and stretched thin, filled the silence. "Just as Liam presses the button." Then a low hum filled the tech room, a resonance that vibrated through Liam's very bones. He turned to see the artifact beside him. Its once steady glow had transformed into a pulsating radiance. A strange, ethereal energy seemed to ripple out from it, filling the room, as if charging the very air around them. It was alien. It was powerful, and at that moment, it was their only hope. Their hearts pounded in the extended silence, each second ticking by like an hour. In the bizarre dance of stretched time, they waited, their fates intertwined with the artifact's power and Liam's algorithm. The alien mothership stood before them, the photon cannon ready to unleash destruction. In the paused tapestry of time, they stood at the brink of their destiny, their last stand against the invading force. All they could do now was wait and hope.